Let's see what you have in store for the month of May. Down at the base of your spine for sourcing and urgings, you receive the Six of Wands. This is like a victorious spoils from some kind of competition where you outraced somebody with some type of acumen. And you can now be publicly honored for this victory, but with it being at the base of your spine, I don't think it really matters. But I feel it's more about you just acknowledging that you achieved a cornerstone in your life. Something now is not a drudgery anymore. You no longer fear it. This certainly can bolster your self-confidence because it indicates that you've overcome some challenges and you've reached some goals. And the clarification card is the Nine of Cups, the wish card. How nice. I had to go back and look because I noted that one of the other signs had received the wish card down at the base of your spine, and it was Scorpio, but it was the main card. And Scorpio then got the Six of Cups, the card of memories and childhood memories. And here, it's just reversed for you, is that you got the Six of Wands with the Nine of Cups. It's kind of funny how a lot of the signs are getting the same type of cards, or the same cards actually. I think everybody's been going through a lot of the same feelings and doing the same reactions to things, but now that we're kind of over the cusp of some of the harder things, I think now it's going to be more free-flowing for everybody. It makes me want to say, curiosity killed the cat. But a lot of people forget the second line to this is that satisfaction brought him back. And this is what this card means, is satisfaction and contentment. And this all brings inner peace. And you got some great cards for the base of your spine. This card can also indicate overindulgence, like you're in your cups, so don't celebrate too heartily. Now up above, for your pelvic and sacrum, for your awakening and arousing, you receive the Seven of Swords. Somebody's stealing from you or sneaking something away from you, and with it being in your awakening and arousing category of the chakra, somebody's stomping on your spiritual self. But I don't think this is the type of thing that you can escape from, because the clarification card is the High Priestess. She's about intuitions and dreams and having the cosmos bring you messages. And you can't hide from that. But you have to be very acute and be listening for her subtle messages, because sometimes they're not obvious. Sometimes it's just a mere coincidence that you just write off and say, yeah, well, whatever. But then as you start thinking about it, and when you do have a revelation, then you realize that, boy, there was just a chain reaction of many things that were all connected that you didn't see until the very end. And now I think you've found your higher self, that even if somebody's been stealing or sneaking off with something, it really doesn't matter anymore. You're just going to readjust and go on with your life. Now these people can live with themselves, and even maybe eventually some guilt and remorse for what they did. And I think that might be the case because the card up above in the solar plexus for your sensing and feeling, you receive the Judgment card. Now somebody can be judging you, or you could be judging somebody else, but really this card is about grace, unconditional forgiveness. And it's forgiving yourself and forgiving other people. And when that happens, then you go through a rebirth. You become the phoenix and even go into a higher level of self. Maybe this Seven of Cups person is still back there spinning their wheels, but you don't care. I forgive you and let's move on. The clarification card is the Hangman. The Hangman goes by the Tao philosophy of Wu Wei. I discussed that in my Chinese New Year's videos. where actually means non-doing. Let things go with its natural flow. The lesson here is to stop trying to control the physical world and look at things in a different light. And relinquish the old ideas for new because they're avidly seeking their place. And it seems like your unconscious side is now doing a spring cleaning. And this is reinforced by the center card for the heart of the matter. You receive the Ace of Wands. It's great to receive an ace in the heart of the matter. It's a new beginning, but this is an inspirational new beginning that has fire energy behind it. It's time to move things along. Let's get this new beginning going. It's like heaven has given the earthly plane a message of good fortune. It's time to undertake new adventures with a passion. This is where it's up to you now to go to the drawing board and start scribbling out some plans. Get your sextant out and figure out where you're at and where you want to go and what's the purpose in your life. And the clarification card is the Chariot. How excellent. He's about movement, moving forward. He's about discipline. He wants you to overcome opposition. And I think you already have, because you're down here with the Six of Wands. You've had the Seven of Swords. And you've gone through the Judgment and the Hangman. There's been some opposition going on here, but you're moving forward. And you're going to make your plans into a reality. Now down at the throat, for communicating and teaching, receive the Ace of Pentacles. You received another ace. This is Earth. It's a promise of gifts of value and fates of fortune. And the clarification card is the World. It's saying, yes, you've gone through an ending. You finished a cycle. And you've earned and you've learned and you've changed. And now you're ready to accept new challenges. Yourself and your attitude has all been readjusted. And up in the third eye for your seeing and envisioning, you receive the Hermit. The Hermit's equal to the Hanged Man, but a little bit different. The Hanged Man requires some type of sacrifice, and with it next to the Judgment card, yeah, there was some sacrifice there. But the Hermit is now going on a lone journey to self-discovery. The darkness in you seeks the inner light of wisdom. And this card is about acquiring wisdom from the light in his lamp and finding guidance from his staff. And when you make these realizations, it's time to go back into the world and share the knowledge and the wisdom that you've acquired. And the clarification card is the Knight of Cups. He's offering something, but what he's offering is more emotional bonding. I don't think you've been pushing people away, but I don't think you've been attracting them either. The Knight of Cups is more of a peacemaker. He doesn't want to make war, he wants to make peace. The reading seems to be predicated on finding balance and peace. Now up in the crown for your knowing and understanding, receive the Three of Pentacles. I call this the Architect card. It's about building something. And usually it's a teamwork effort. Teamwork can create the impossible. It's synergistic. It makes more of its individual components. And the clarification card is the Nine of Pentacles. It's saying that you've succeeded. You feel very comfortable. You feel very content. This is going to full revolution, down to the Nine of Cups, up to the Nine of Pentacles. It indicates contentment. I don't think there always was some contentment, because let's go see what the past cards are saying. On the left, you receive the Chariot. Now, you receive the Chariot in the heart of the matter, too. So your past is indelibly connected to your present. Whatever has happened in your past hasn't affected your progress as a person. You're still moving forward. But the clarification card says there's been some problems because you received the Three of Swords. This is a heartbreak card. I don't know if there was a breakup or something, but it indicates usually a severing of ties. And I kind of have a feeling that just something in the past broke your heart. I don't think it was the loss of somebody. It could have been. And it set you back and it put you in some type of depression. But it didn't affect your progress, which is wonderful. It's excellent. And you can see that you're going forward when you look at the future cards because you received the Queen of Cups. She's equal, but the minor arcana to the High Priestess. This is where you were blowing things off when people were stealing from you or spiritually hurting you. The Queen of Cups is saying, get in touch with your inner self and your intuition. What's going on here is that the Queen of Cups is connecting your conscious self to your unconscious self through the High Priestess. She asks you a question, do you feel to think or think to feel? You have to get in touch with your emotional self. One thing about the Queen of Cups is that she can give excellent advice, but she can't follow her own advice. And keep that in mind as you're making decisions for the future. Now, the clarification card is the Empress. She's about fertility and nurturing. Here you've got a trifecta of the Empress, the Queen of Cups, and the High Priestess all working together. The Empress wants you to enjoy the material world and the pleasures that it offers, and to give and accept unconditional love. I think these two cards are indicating that there should be a little more attention paid to your family and home, so you can appreciate, enjoy, and celebrate life. And then again, maybe it's telling you to start rethinking things, maybe even your beliefs. Because, you're not going to want to back down. And these people are really coming on strong to you. If you're in the wrong, conceding doesn't mean that you're losing the game. It means that you've found courage and you're a strong enough person to say, yeah, I was wrong. But whatever it is, there is a defensive atmosphere going on here. And maybe you do have some decisions to make or some things to rethink because you received the Two of Wands. And this card is about decisions, planning, balance, partnership. You're looking over the horizon now, realizing that you have a lot of opportunities. And now you have to make some decisions as to which ones you want to accept. And if you accept certain opportunities, are you willing to get out of your comfort zone and do some new things? Not everything's going to come to the couch. You have to get out in the world and start shaking the tree so the fruit fall to the ground. You can think of this as being the captain of your own ship, but you have to prepare for the voyage before you embark. And then again, this card could indicate sudden departures and changes of venue. So maybe you'll decide to move along from something, because this card is about expansion and sometimes even travel. But then again, maybe you're just moving away from the people that you've been combating in the Seven of Wands card. Now the card on the right, the Eight of Wands, is a multi-level card. Maybe you're going to quickly be moving away from the power struggle of what's going on in the Seven of Wands and using the Two of Wands to make a decision to change. However, the Two of Wands has not launched anything. Nothing has gone into motion yet. And the Eight of Wands is now making sure that it will. There's a hazy misma that's being lifted, and you're starting to see things with clarity. Maybe you've been stagnated for quite a while with the Seven of Wands and fighting people, and the Two of Wands just sitting back thinking about where you want to go. But the Eight of Wands now is your ticket to go. Yeah, you're hopping on the train. If you were confused about something, you're no longer confused anymore. And doors of opportunity now are swinging open. Immovable mountains are now movable. And this is a positive change card. And once again, this card can be about travel. Journeys. But maybe it's just the journey of the mind, using your creative, inspirational self to move forward in your inner higher self. Maybe you decided that the trite and unimportant conflicts that were happening with the Seven of Wands is no longer worth it. And you've decided to move on. Okay, now I rolled the dice and you received Taurus, the Sun, in the 11th house. The 11th house is your house. You're a native to the collective citizenship, the cooperative feeling of all. So this brings a little more energy into the party. If you're not in the middle of the collective right now, you're going to be in the middle of it this week with Taurus in the 11th house. Because it's about material, physical, and financial matters. And the Two of Wands is just the card that you need to make decisions for these things. Your herding instinct is really strong, and it's bringing you closer to others to observe the lay of the land and have a feel for where you really want to go. You could lead, follow, or get out of the way this week. And whatever role you take, you have to procure harmonious relationships with self, others, and then the world, in that order. You might have some ulterior motives of using your collective friends for your own gain. But then again, you're going to be the Seven of Wands guy fighting people off with sticks while you're standing on a hill. Privilege and entitlement has to be earned. We all like to feel part of a crowd, but, don't overanalyze this group identity that you're involved in, because you just might analyze it out the other end. And then there's going to be some kind of problems, and once again, more struggles of the Seven of Wands. This week your ideas might be less than conventional and very expansive, and sometimes it might be very difficult for some people to even understand what you're talking about. The Sun in Taurus reminds you that there's form and function to all material things, and the Two of Wands is warning about decisions to acquire things that just make you happy but don't have a lot of service to it, and especially won't hang around for a really long time. You have a stubborn nature this week that is resisting change, and you're having a struggle with uncomfortable uncertainties of change. But here, this is where the Eight of Wands is going to save the day. Ta-da! He comes sliding in to help you overcome the challenges of change and how to deal with them. Property and belongings are not always a security blanket, and they can inhibit your freedom. So sometimes it's best to just let things go. And Two of Wands will help you make that decision. And the Eight of Wands is helping you with these cleansing changes. And I wish you acceptance, peace, and happiness.